Chief.
Hey, Sarge.
How you doing, man?
Not bad. How about you?
I'm pretty great. So, we've talked about a lot of different movies, but one of the ones I feel we've sort of broached the conversation on, but haven't really gotten to is Endgame.
Okay.
As you know, I love Infinity War. I thought it was probably one of the best that made.
Definitely was
for Marvel, but I felt they really dropped the ball with Endgame.
Yes, they kind of did on some level,
and it's a big frustration for me because they could have only done that once. There's no way they can ever really rise to that level of excitement again.
Well, not to mention, first though, you built Infinity War throughout almost 10 years or so. You were building up to that.
Over 18 movies.
Yeah, and then Infinity War itself is super strong.
Yes.
So it put that interest even higher, at a higher state.
It elevated it to a state I didn't know they could go to.
Yes. And people were dying to see what happens after Infinity War. And Endgame, I think, didn't deliver.
Within the first 5 minutes, I knew we were in trouble.
Oh.
They chopped Thanos' head off.
Yeah, they chopped Thanos' head off. And I remember the minute that happened, I go, oh my God, they've committed like a huge no-no in just comic book writing.
Yes.
Because you depowered your villain right there. There was nothing. Your focus, the story should be them trying to beat him again. But they decided to take that off the table. And the minute they did that, I go, ooh, that's problematic.
Well, they spent like 2/3 of the movie without a proper villain.
Without a proper villain, you're right. That whole first and second act is almost disjointed too. Yes. Where the first act is people feeling sad, which is fine, because they took a huge defeat, and even their victory over killing off Thanos mounted to nothing at the end. I can understand that where you have, and some that were nice. I thought there was a moment when Black Widow showed some vulnerability. She was crying, all that kind of stuff. But the real problem is a few scenes later when they start to go into the time travel plot line. There was literally a scene where they were trying to figure things out. So she was laying on a table like in an office comedy, like, oh, we're working late night, so I'm kind of nonchalant, and like, wait, you were really sad just like 20 minutes ago.
Right.
Now it's kind of like a weird office TV show comedy. That's a different kind of tone and vibe right now.
And then Tony just somehow figures out time travel
while he's washing dishes.
He's just like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, time travel's done. I got
it. Yeah, because he was like, it's impossible to time travel. And then it's like, while I'm washing dishes, my computer solved the problem
for me. Right. Come on now.
Huh?
Come on now. Okay. Like, that's wrong. It's wrong.
No.
That was lazy.
Yeah, that is bad, right?
And then the time travel rules were absurd.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
Pick a version and go with it.
Yeah.
But they didn't pick anything.
No.
Like, genuinely, I have a lot of issues.
It created even bigger problems.
Yes.
Like Loki grabbing the cube and then disappear.
Yes.
And then not touch upon in that movie, I think is problematic too.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just kind of like, okay, now you're setting up for something else.
Which is not our movie.
But your final movie is supposed to wrap up everything.
Yes.
But you're already trying to push for other stuff. That's
a problem.
That's a little offshoot that starts to lose focus.
Mm-hmm.
That is the problem.
On top of that, they undermined a lot of really excellent scenes from better movies.
Yes.
What they did to Winter Soldier, just by him going up to his ear and whispering "Hail Hydra," was pretty lame. And then Steve Rogers having to fight Steve Rogers, I didn't like either. Because then he's like, I'm more cynical now. I'm less cool.
Yeah.
Like, I get that a lot of stuff happened between that and the first movie.
To be honest, I have not seen Endgame since I saw it in the theater.
Yes.
And I have to kind of play in my head and kind of go, the whole second part, time travel, I really don't remember much of it.
Yeah.
Because they're not very strong scenes.
No.
Besides, you have a scene where Captain America fought Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
And
scene with Tony and his dad was nice.
A little bit. But it's almost kind of like, on some level, it's not that strong.
Yeah.
Because your focus of the movie is not that focused.
Mm-hmm.
Him seeing his dad and all that stuff don't really
amount to much.
Yeah, you're right. It's like, okay, it's just there. Everything is just there.
Yes.
It feels like it's almost like, check out this fan service. Check out this other fan service. Check out this other, and then you're kind of like, why are we going to get back to the main core of what this movie is about?
Sure. And the worst thing that they did, more than even the story, is how they butchered the characters.
Yes.
In this movie. Okay, so just off the top of my head, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at what they did to Thor. That's the worst example.
Yes.
Look at what they did to Hulk. Those are the two worst ones, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Hulk should have got another crack at Thanos.
Yes, he really should have. You were expecting that.
Yes.
Where he was beaten, so he was kind of hiding in Banner. He wouldn't even come out.
Mm-hmm.
And the weird part is, I don't know if you know about this. In the toy figure they were producing, there was a Hulkbuster armor that would rip open and inside's the Hulk.
Right.
So somewhere in there, that was originally planned.
Yes.
And it's not there.
Correct.
Yeah.
They replaced it with Captain Marvel.
Yeah. Well yeah.
That moment where she pushed Thanos back was...
Yeah, you're right. That should have been a Hulk moment. You know, it should have been where the Hulk wouldn't come out and Thanos beating Banner, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm screwed," and suddenly the Hulk comes back. Yeah, that would have been probably equally strong a moment when Cap got the hammer. People would be like, "Yeah, now the Hulk is back too, and is ready for a savage beating of Thanos."
Right, because here's the problem: they gave us Professor Hulk with no payoff. Number one.
Well, there's no setup.
There's no setup.
Yeah.
He's just
suddenly he's there, and then also you're right. There's nothing beyond that, and besides, like he snapped the gauntlet and burned himself. What else have the Hulk done that you can say that's memorable?
Right. And if you look at his impact in some of the other movies, he was a force of nature.
Yeah.
And they always had to account for him.
Yeah.
In a way that was really difficult.
Well, that he was so powerful. Because remember in Thor Ragnarok, he was gonna at the end he was gonna destroy that giant that was destroying.
He was ready to go.
Yeah, he was ready to go, and you're like, oh my god, he would have destroyed him if they let him do it.
Yes.
So you're gonna tell me that you're never gonna unleash that? They should have, like, by not showing that, what they showed you at the end with him fighting Thanos would have been that final unleash.
Yes.
And then we didn't get that.
Right. And it's sort of disappointing.
It is.
The other thing too is if they wanted to make Professor Hulk the final form and not like something like Worldbreaker Hulk, what you do is in the midst of everything going on, he has to find some kind of balance in between the two. And they could have even killed Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, and then he finds some kind of middle ground.
Yes.
And is able to...
Well, yeah, that is true, because at the end of that Hulk journey, where they should have been like the Hulk is hiding, Banner can't get him out now. And that would have been an interesting Banner journey, too, where originally he doesn't want the Hulk to come out. Now, no matter what he wants the Hulk come out, the Hulk just wouldn't come out.
Right.
But then you can finally have the Hulk come out and do that final unleash and then big battle. But at the end, they got to somehow contain him, and then he becomes Professor Hulk at the end. That would have been a complete journey for that character.
Could you imagine how dope that would have been on
the
screen?
People would be like, oh, shoot, he becomes the intelligent
Hulk
at the end.
And so, for me, I thought that would have been way cooler. I genuinely did not like it when Captain America took the hammer. I know that he's worthy. I think
here's what it is. When it happened, I wasn't surprised. I was like, okay, he finally did it. I felt like that build-up took too long for it to finally happen.
Yes.
And then when it was happening, it wasn't bad, but it was just kind of like, it didn't jolt me like the way it should have jolted me.
It didn't hit hard.
It didn't hit hard. But you know what? It would have hit harder if you have all these other things, like the Hulk finally coming out to fight Thanos. We need one more thing. What's that one other thing? He pulls out the hammer. Like maybe the Hulk is just fighting Thanos to a standstill, but we still need that final strike.
Yes.
And Cap gets the
he
hammer.
didn't need to beat him. He just needed to back Thanos down.
Yeah.
And to even the fighting.
Yeah.
That would have been great.
That would have been fine too.
And then with Thor, that was genuinely the worst of it. What they did with him in Ragnarok was amazing.
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah.
They had really just developed him to such a high level.
Sure.
You know, he was finally the king. He was finally where he was supposed to be. He was mature.
Yeah.
He sacrificed everything for his people.
Well, even in Infinity War, he was trying real hard to rebuild the hammer and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
All that stuff was happening, which was great.
That cost him his body.
Yeah. But then by the third one, he was just kind of like, oh, I give up. And you have to understand, if you look at the timeline of that character, he's been around for like millions, thousands of years, almost a million, something like that.
Long time.
Yeah. So you're like, wait, so this one little problem made him give up and become like a modern day bro dude? They're like, that doesn't really make sense with that character.
If you were going to do it, it has to be momentarily. It can't be the whole movie.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I mean, the other thing is he's already lost a lot. He lost his mother. He lost his father. He lost Loki. Why is he suddenly completely
a wreck now?
Yeah, especially after he did cut Thanos' head off.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're like, that's why that weird time jump where Thor is where he is, Hulk is a smart Hulk, all that stuff. You're kind of like, there's missing that character progression to bring it to that point.
Yes.
And when it occurred, you're doing a lot of comedy effects, which is really what it was. That second act was like a big heist comedy.
Wrong movie to do that.
Yeah, because because you know why? Because your first act, everyone's crying.
Yes.
So you went from crying now before they even solved the problem, they're all having a good time already.
Yes. Wrong movie.
Right? There's a weird. That's why I go. The movie was completely disjointed. The emotions were wrong.
I agree. I entirely agree.
Yeah.
And because they went on their little time travel adventure, they did undermine a lot of things that happened in earlier movies.
They kind of did. It was like a weird Back to the Future type of weird tribute, kind of, or maybe ripoff. But at the same time,
you didn't really gain any new insight.
There's really nothing. It's just like we got to go get the Infinity Stones again.
Yes.
That's it. That's all that was about. And we kill Black Widow off as the big major turning point, I guess,
for no reason.
But then because they already announced there's gonna be a Black Widow movie, the impact is not even that strong.
No,
believe me, the death of Black Widow is nowhere near as strong as when they killed off Gamora, which
a million times better.
Yeah, which you were kind of shocked, like, oh shoot, they just killed off that way. In that movie, they were killing off so many people. You're like, good God, no more.
Stop it.
Yeah, stop it. You're just wiping people one on one. And they all die in a pretty tragic, gruesome, or just ways that you don't wish that's how they met their end.
Right. Just saying.
Yeah, and so, but I'm okay if Endgame started off with everyone feeling sad, depressed, unfulfilled.
Right. That's not an issue.
Yeah, but the issue is suddenly the movie jumps into a comedy, a heist comedy.
So...
And Captain America is commenting about how nice his ass looks.
All right, which is pretty dumb. Now, in the third act, my major issue with it, beyond the things we had considered and talked about, is that it wasn't really a battle. It was a backdrop for a few people to have a small fight.
That is true. Yeah, it wasn't a battle. It wasn't even as exciting as the Battle of Infinity War.
Yes.
Even though that battle, I thought it was okay because it's just big CGI monsters are fighting. There was more stakes in that one.
Well, here's my main issue with it, is that you can't actually establish where any of the fighting is actually happening.
Yes.
If you consider that and you compare it to something like Lord of the Rings, you can orient yourself very easily for where the battle is progressing. Yes. Because in the Battle of Helm's Deep, for example, you can tell where the enemy is beginning. Yes. And you can tell where the main people need to defend.
Oh, yeah. And then they also show the people that are in the back and they're trying to retreat or they have nowhere to go.
Yes.
So there's stakes put into that. There's different levels of it.
Right. And you can clearly orient yourself to where the battle is happening.
Yes.
Compare that to the Infinity Wars battle. Sorry, the Endgame battle.
Endgame battle, yeah.
You can't tell where anything is happening.
No, it was just people just going from left and right off the screen, and that's it.
They were just sort of charging each other and fighting.
Yeah.
But somehow they were just all finding Thanos.
Well, it was just a big chase scene where because the chase is just trying to get the gauntlet.
Yes.
Thanos should have possessed the gauntlet again, and them trying to, fight him in a different way, because and that would have been fine too. Mm-hmm. But to be honest, the setup with the fact that he is not even the same Thanos already lost some of the impact that it's supposed to have.
Oh, here's another thought. So
you know how interesting would have been if that would have been real interesting if that other Thanos got it, snapped it, and kind of somehow brought back the previous Thanos, and all that kind of got reimmersed. Mm-hmm. That would have been interesting.
Two Thanoses?
Yeah.
That would have been pretty dangerous.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, here's the other thing that I think is problematic too. There were so many problematic things. First, in the beginning, they cut off Thanos' head. They also explained the Infinity Stones that destroyed and gone.
Yes.
So the second movie undid all of that. The second act undid all of that. We're like, oh, but just go to the alternate universe, get alternate Thanos, go to alternate universes, get alternate Infinity Stones. And you're just like, that's a complete cheat at this point. Now, why do you even need that first 10 minutes?
Yes.
Why not just like scatter the skull across the universe again, and now they got to go find it? Mm-hmm. You might as well do that. It's the same concept.
Why didn't they just go back to an earlier time during Infinity Wars?
Yeah.
And stop Thanos.
Yeah. Because we know where he is now.
Right.
But that would have been more interesting. They just kept jumping through time to different points and finally, oh shoot, we're right here before that happens.
Because they could have jumped him at the beginning or while they were on Titan. Yeah. They could have jumped him in Wakanda. Heck, why didn't they all just go back to where they were in Wakanda?
That would have been interesting. It was like, there's two Thors, two of everybody versus Wakanda, and then there's two Thanos now.
Yes.
Could have been more double the fun. Why not just go in that? It's kind of dumb, but why not just go in that direction too?
Correct. If you have time travel, quite literally, there will always be a better option.
Sure.
Just saying.
It's just time travel is too easy. And I used to, in Marvel, there was like, yeah, whenever you do time travel, it's just an easy way out of out of the problem. It really is. It's just a big crutch.
So that's an issue.
Yeah,
cloning is an issue.
Well, time travel also, if not done cleverly, just comes off as dumb.
Yes.
That's really another thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know what else to say about that.
I don't disagree with you. I was watching this like, no, y'all just did this to me. They made us wait a year for that mess.
Yeah.
That's what makes me extra mad. Because I remember I was watching Infinity War with my wife. Sure. And she's like, oh, they're going to turn it around. They're going to turn it around.
Well, you thought they were going to turn around.
What?
Well, I'll tell you, the other thing is when you watch the trailers for Endgame, it gives you a different movie in your head.
Yes.
And when you saw it, you're like, oh no, this is
movie.
less than what I thought it was going to be.
Yes. You never want to feel that way.
Yeah.
And
Infinity War was constantly going, this is much bigger than I thought it was going to be.
I didn't expect them to do that much.
Well, nobody expected at the end it would just end on killing off half the heroes. Like nobody expected that. So that's why I was kind of like, they hit you on some level.
They took the shot.
Even though, yes, I've read the original comic book. When it still happened, you're like, ooh, that's a lot of guts to go that far with the movie and end it with the villain coming out on top.
And it was so personal too,
yeah.
because Thor almost had him. He had the axe in his chest,
yep.
and he says, "You should have gone for the head."
Yep.
Bam.
Yeah. Then he went for the head in the next one, and it was completely meaningless.
Yes.
You want to set up where you were, and sort of where how peak characters didn't take their opportunity at the end of Infinity War to finally take their opportunity at the end of Endgame.
Right.
Where the Hulk comes back out, where Thor is finally able to go for the head and do all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. If you want, and I understand that they needed to retire Captain America and they needed to retire Iron Man. Yeah. There had to have been a more tasteful way to do that.
Well, here's the truth. Did they really retire Iron Man? He's kind of, even after that in Spider-Man Far From Home, he's still kind of there.
Yes.
That's another problem. And then the other thing is, now there's time travel. You can go back and get another Tony Stark.
Anytime you need. But what about Gamora in this time series?
Yeah, it's not even the same.
Like, you literally just stole Gamora from another universe.
Well, here's another question. I don't remember. See, I don't even remember that movie. What happened to Nebula, the other Nebula? Did she die or she's there? Did they kill her?
I don't know what they did with her.
Yeah, remember there was the other Nebula? That was the evil Nebula?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So what happened to her? I don't remember at this point. That's how unmemorable some of this stuff is handled.
Mm-hmm. And if you remember in Guardians of the Galaxy, they were actually able to hold an Infinity Stone when multiple people were linking arms together.
Yes.
They could have done the same thing.
They could have done the same thing. What they also explained that was because Star-Lord was the son of Ego.
Right.
So he was a little bit more. Okay, we can do that too.
But he's the Hulk who can literally take gamma radiation.
Yeah.
And then
I burned myself.
But other people can do it.
Why is
Thanos can do it?
Yeah, why is Thanos can do it and Hulk cannot?
Who's literally made of gamma radiation.
Yeah.
He's literally getting more of what he already has.
That's why there's a problem with the writing. If you start digging into it, like that wasn't what you wanted.
Hold up. So these are just some of the ideas.
Yeah.
Realistically.
Yeah.
We can go on for an hour
forever
about this.
Yeah. Yeah. There's more you can dig into that.
These are some of the main points. We want to really just sort of hear what other people think about some of the main points of the movie were, whether they think that it was really a problematic movie or if you guys actually really enjoyed it.
I guess on some level you can say I enjoyed it, but the more you thought about it, you're kind of like, wait a minute.
The best moments I had of the movie were the first few minutes after I finished the movie because I didn't want to dislike it. But after that, I immediately
I saw it once and that was it.
Yes.
There was no desire to see it again. Unlike, I'll tell you, the first Iron Man, saw it in the theater 7 times.
Yeah, for sure.
In the theater. I mean, I went with kept going with different people because you kept want to see it again. And you have your final big super finale, made people wait 10 years for it. And I saw it once and that was it.
Yeah.
That says something about that.
That's true. I mean, yeah, you made a lot of money, but what about your reoccurring revenue in future movies?
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, I'm not even buying some of the later Marvels on DVD. I used to buy every one of them because you're like, I'm in the industry. I should own it. I can watch it all the time. I have no interest in seeing it.
Yeah. No, so that's pretty much the video, guys.
Sure.
We would appreciate you just letting us know what you think about these videos, whether you liked them or didn't. and whether you're actually excited to see the new ones coming out, whether it's something that even interests you.
Yeah.
I'm interested in hearing more about that. So with that, we appreciate you for watching the video. Hope you come again soon. See you.
Yeah. See you guys next time.